Yes, yes, and welcome. It's Tuesday night. Here to talk about evolution versus creation and the evidence for God. The evidence that this universe is intentional, that it wasn't just some cosmic belch, some unintentional cosmic belch that formed this universe and the continents that are in it, but instead that some all powerful, intelligent designer is actually responsible for the interdependent, apparently designed systems that exist in this universe. So that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Jason is here with us too. This is Jason and Mark. We're here to talk about. Looks like we're talking about Tiktaalik first, but if you didn't know, they believe that fish became sort of like fish with arms and legs, and then they turn into land-dwelling animals. So evolution's theory is basically from the sea to the land and then upward to the sky. I guess you have birds coming last and man. So it's gonna be pretty fun. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We got a couple videos to watch. There's a video about fine tuning we want to talk about first because that's one of the best evidences for intentional design. And even the late Hitchens said that the atheist, the famous atheist Hitchens, he said that it's a no trivial matter, this fine-tuned aspect of this universe, that it is actually one of the best evidences for intelligent design. He didn't really have a very good argument against the fine-tuned argument. So it's going to be good, but just waiting for my friend to return and we'll get into it. But he's out walking the dog. And until then, we can look at this chart because I do have some stuff to look at. So this is human evolution, and it has little to do with what I'm about to talk about tonight, which is the Tiktaalik Rosé, or the Tiktaalik R conglomeration, and the evidence for God. So we got a dual topic tonight. But here you have human evolution, and it's good to have the idea of exactly what they believe in your mind, and you see humankind as a branch coming off of the Pan um, tree here. So here's a very nice view. Yeah, so you have the Pan branch, which goes to chimpanzee in modern day. But before that, they believe we came from more of a pan-looking ancestor. That's why the early Australopithecine claims look so chimpanzee-like. And that's really what they're looking for with the Australopithecine, is something that's more chimpanzee-like in the facial features. So basically, any chimp find that they find in the right layers, they're going to claim is Australopithecine. So, and then you work to the further down the branch to where it becomes Homo sapiens at the top there, modern day. So this whole Australopithecine, this is the missing link section. Like, this is the missing link, and it's still missing because they don't have a very good example of an Australopithecine. So the missing link. Yep. Now we can get into more detail too. I mean, I've got other charts. I've almost gone on for 5 minutes already and covered everything I've got here. So we've got, this is the branch of this is the human branch coming off of the missing link, the Australopithecine. They say that there was earlier Homo groups in Kenya, and then the habilis. So like the earliest stuff is usually labeled habilis. As far as when they find human-like remains, they'll label them habilis mainly. And yeah. And as you can see now on this chart, there's numbers on the bars, and this represents the individuals that they've discovered. And there's quite a few remains, but not actual individual skeletons. And that's really the misconception surrounding these things, I think. Because when people come to me, a lot of times they're like, oh, they found hundreds of individuals of this kind of, hypothetical species of humankind. And it's just not the case. What they have are more like a bunch of teeth, a few femurs, and not even whole femurs most of the time, like heads of femurs, mandibles, jawbones, and some ribs. So they've got a lot of pieces, parts. And what they are is they're saying that, if you get more than 3 of the same kind of molars, then obviously you have 2 individuals there. So if you get enough teeth, you can count 24 individuals out of that. And it's kind of like disingenuous to the public eye to be claiming that there's actually, say, 30, what is that, 29? I can't even see it. Hopefully you can see it. Yeah. So like 20 Homo ergaster. And it's like, wow, there's not 20 individuals, but more like 20 individuals that they've counted from different sets of remains. It's disingenuous. So what they really mean is they have one individual that they made from multiple individuals, So like in this case here, these are some of your conglomerates from those groups. On the left, on the far left, you have the Neanderthalis group, and it's the only full individualist and recovered Neanderthal, and it's the only full skeleton of Neanderthal. As an example, this was a conglomeration or a composite that was put together by Gary Sawyer of the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, and he made it from a composite of 3 different finds, not 3 different individuals, but 3 different discoveries of multiple bones in different places. So like the skull is from one place, the torso from another, the trunk body is from another, and then you have the legs and the pelvis, which is from another find, and that makes up the one on the left, individual number 1. Individual number 2, that's just a normal human, So really, when you look at these, there's not many Neanderthal skulls to speak of. There's like 3, and the 3 Neanderthal skulls that there are composed of just fragments that they've glued together, sort of like a jigsaw puzzle-like manner, kind of piece them together. So what they have of even these claimed human-like hominid species here, the Erectus. Okay. Let's see.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sure. The Homo neanderthalis at the top here, they're claiming that they have 500 individuals, more than 500 individuals. That's simply not true, as you see below. Like I said, there's 3 skulls that are even considered partial skulls, partially complete. They're still not complete skulls. They're partially complete skulls. So hopefully you can hear me clearly. I don't even know. Let's see. Yeah, my mic's on. That's good.
Yeah, you're clear. Yeah.
Welcome back, Jason. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, good, thanks. That's the sound you can hear in the background as my dog's getting a drink.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, it sounds like a camel drinking. Nah, camels don't drink like that. They suck the water up like a vacuum. Okay.
All right. So I was just talking about how we were going to discuss the evidence for intelligent design, the fine-tuning argument, and then probably Tiktaalik a bit, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would have liked to have tried to find a match for Tiktaalik, a better match, because it actually looks like a shark head. When I look at the fossil, it looks like similar to not the same, something like a wobbegong. Hang on.
Sure.
Oh, it won't let me turn it off.
Yeah, definitely has
no
fish features.
The video started and it wouldn't let me turn it off. Okay, let me see. Yeah, well, I've seen sharks. There's a shark called a wobbegong, an Australian wobbegong. That doesn't look like the Tiktaalik, but that sort of shark is what I'm talking about. I'm going to find it. There's a shark that looks identical to Tiktaalik. I'll find it. But it's just a flathead, like a like a flat-headed fish, like a shark, like a flathead, basically. What we call a flathead in Australia. So hang on, I just got to get this. Share screen. Fine tuning. There we go. And there. And I'll turn the quality down. 240p.
And the volume up.
And the volume's up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Where is the volume? Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's up. Okay. Here we go. All right. So I'll start it.
From galaxies and stars, down to atoms and subatomic particles, the very structure of our universe is determined by these numbers. These are the fundamental constants and quantities of the universe. Scientists have come to the shocking realization that each of these numbers has been carefully dialed to an astonishingly precise value, a value that falls within an exceedingly narrow, life-permitting range. If any one of these numbers were altered by even a hair's breadth, no.
Well, they actually say that there's what is it? If you had 1 grain of sand, more matter when the universe was created, there would have been runaway gravitational collapse and life would have been impossible. So it's that finely tuned. It's finely tuned down to 1 grain of sand's worth of matter.
No physical, interactive life of any kind could exist anywhere. There'd be no stars, no life, no planets, no chemistry. Consider gravity, for example. The force of gravity is determined by the gravitational constant. If this constant varied by just 1 in 10 to the 60th parts, none of us would exist. To understand how exceedingly narrow this life-permitting range is, imagine a dial divided into 10 to the 60th increments.
1 to the 60th parts, I can't remember. I think that's how many atoms. I don't know.
Get a handle on how many tiny points on the dial this is. Compare it to the number of cells in your body, or the number of seconds that have ticked by since time began. If the gravitational constant had been out of tune by just 1 of these infinitesimally small increments, the universe would either have expanded and thinned out so rapidly that no stars could form and life couldn't exist, or it would have collapsed back on itself with the same result: no stars, no planets, and no life. Or consider the expansion rate of the universe. This is driven by the cosmological constant. A change in its value by a mere 1 part in 10 to the 120th parts would cause the universe to expand too rapidly or too slowly.
1 part, 10 to the 120th is a massive number, because there's only how many particles there is in the known universe is about 10 to the 90th. So 10 with 90 zeros after is how many particles, like, and atoms are made up of multiple particles. So that's how many particles are in the, in the universe. Am I? Yes, my thing's on. Yeah, anyway, I'll keep going.
In either case, the universe would, again, be life prohibiting. Or another.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. And 1 part out of 10 to the 20th is such an infinitesimally small number. And if it was off by just that 1 in 10 to the 120th, then that is so unbelievably fine-tuned, people don't understand.
Example of fine-tuning. If the mass and energy of the early universe were not evenly distributed to an incomprehensible precision of 1 part in 10 to the 10 to the 123rd, the universe would be hostile to life of any kind. The fact is, our universe permits physical, interactive life only because these, and many other numbers, have been independently and exquisitely balanced on a razor's edge. Wherever physicists look, they see examples of fine-tuning. The remarkable fact is that the values of these numbers seem to have been very finely adjusted to make possible the development of life. If anyone claims not to be surprised by the special features that the universe has, he's hiding his head in the sand These special features are surprising and unlikely. What is the best explanation for this astounding phenomenon? There are 3 live options. The fine-tuning of the universe is due to either physical necessity, chance, or design. Which of these options is the most plausible? According to this alternative, the universe must be life-permitting. The precise values of these constants and quantities could not be otherwise. But is this plausible? Is a life-prohibiting universe impossible? Far from it. It's not only possible, it's far more likely than a life-permitting universe. The constants and quantities are not determined by the laws of nature. There's no reason or evidence to suggest that fine-tuning is necessary. How about chance? Did we just get really, 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 really lucky?
For the chance to work, you'd virtually need an infinite number of universes in the multiverse. And we just happen to be the lucky one within that infinite number of universes. That's how finely tuned it is. You would literally need an infinite number of universes to get something like us. So that's why they come up. That's one of the reasons they come up with the multiverse.
Yeah, and the multiverse hypothesis is completely, it's bonkers, and it's an additional. It's assuming an additional theory on top of the Big Bang already. You know, so like first believe in the Big Bang, and then we have to believe many other Big Bangs to make sure that this Big Bang could produce a universe such as this. And then you have to have the number of universes in this multiverse system. You know, you have to have that number of universes to explain this one.
Yeah, that we just happen to be the lucky one by chance. They literally say you'd need an infinite number, not just 100 billion trillion universes, but an infinite number of universes to get the fine tuning, to get one universe that's got that. I mean, that is just that basically what they're basically saying, and they don't see this, is they're saying it's impossible. Because an infinite number of universes is impossible. Yeah.
But here it is, and we have this one. You know, they're abusing the law of large numbers. You know, that's what they're doing. The idea, like, if you have enough chances, then it will eventually happen. Well, you can't apply that to a single observable universe. To assume multiverses in the first place, and then an infinite number of them. You know, what's producing them? Where all these other universes coming from? Okay, you have the Big Bang. Well, was there a bigger Big Bang that produced multiple universes? It just has to go on, and then it's further into fantasy and unobservable truth, pure conjecture. They want to try this puddle analogy and apply it to the Big Bang like they do to the creation of life on Earth. They're like, life exists here just because, you know, the puddle analogy. You know, it's in the right puddle, and it can live in this puddle, and therefore it is. And it's like, well, it doesn't apply to the beginning of the universe, because the beginning of the universe, there's no puddle for it to form, and it comes out of nothing. You know, that's what a universe from nothing is. So, but
yeah, that puddle thing, that dip, you know, like they're always trying to get around, because the reason why the people like Hawking and Dawkins hate the any universe that began with something already in it. They need it to begin with absolutely and completely nothing. They hate anything being there at all, because that would mean that whatever was there beforehand had to be eternal, from everlasting to everlasting, like God. So that's why they're so desperate to get this, you know, universe from nothing, no time, no space, no matter, absolutely and completely nothing. But because it's expanding out in every direction we look, we know the universe is expanding. It says in the Bible that God stretches out the universe 17 times, that they know, because it's expanding, it had to be closer together at one point, which means that there must have been a beginning. And of course, why do things expand like that? From an explosion. So that's where they got the idea for the Big Bang, because it's expanding out, sort of thing. So it's just all complete and utter imagination. There's nothing, you know. Anyway, I'll get on with it. You want to say something?
It is. Yeah, I was just gonna say it is absolutely nonsense. But I'm gonna drop the link in the chat to join the open mic right after this video is done. I think. See if anyone wants to come in here with us. So.
All right. It's only got a few minutes to go.
The probabilities involved are so ridiculously remote as to put the fine-tuning well beyond the reach of chance. So, in an effort to keep this option alive, some have gone beyond empirical science and opted for a more speculative approach, known as the multiverse. They imagine a universe generator that cranks out such a vast number of universes that odds are life-permitting universes will eventually pop out. However, there's no scientific evidence for the existence of this multiverse. It cannot be detected.
There's no scientific evidence for the Big Bang. There's no scientific evidence. They say there is, but there isn't. They get into a collider and they smash particles into each other and they create gold, say. They said they created gold particles for a split second and then they disappeared. And then they say they created that out of nothing. Well, when you break down an atom is made up of pure energy. There's no tangible matter. There's no evidence there's anything tangible in an atom at all. So it's just made up of pure energy. So what they're doing is they're slamming energy into each other and then creating gold, which is energy. Matter is energy. It's atoms are energy, matter is energy. So they're using energy to create energy. Whoa, they really created it out of nothing, didn't they?
And then they're claiming Big Bang from that, you know. It's the same thing with the cosmic microwave background, you know, they don't understand it. So it's the Big Bang of the gaps, man. Oh, we don't understand it? Big Bang of the gaps did it again.
Yeah.
Big Bang, and then they climb, you know, our big God of the gaps. No. Big Bang of the gaps. Where'd all the energy came from? What was the Big Bang? It was a singularity, man. Don't you understand singularities? They can do anything. It's like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. I also wanted to say, you know, everyone, you know, they'll come at you and say that gravity isn't real or gravity is just a theory. As you see in here, gravity isn't just a theory. It's also a physical constant of the universe. It's a gravitational constant. It's more than just a theory. It's also a law. It's also a law. But you know, they have their empty arguments too.
It's a law that looks like it may get reworked, but it's still a law. And the simple fact is they don't really know what gravity is. They've never detected an individual graviton. They can only detect gravity via graviton's effect on matter. Like when matter's drawn towards the earth, they can multiple gravitons. So they literally cannot see. They've never detected a graviton. They don't know what it is, what gravity is. They've got these theories on it, but they're not 100% sure. And also with flat earthers say that oh, well, flat earth saves the gravity problem. Well, it doesn't actually, because what is the force that makes, if you throw a ball into the air on a flat earth and it falls to the ground, what force makes that fall to the ground? Why doesn't it just float off into the air? Why doesn't it just, there's some sort of force. And they say that around earth is impossible and it goes against God. Well, I would say a spherical earth, being able to hold water on it, and people in Australia standing upside down but feeling like they're standing the right way up is the definition of supernatural. I mean, the outright definition of it. They do not. So literally, if they are trying to cover up the flat earth to lead people astray with the heliocentric model, then they're basically showing people a way more supernatural event than a flat earth would be. It's got to be. You got to have. It says that God, with all his power, holds all things together. So what flat earthers are saying is basically how useless God is. That God's so, even though he's got infinite power, which means unlimited power, there's no limit to his power, that he can only create this flat earth in a bubble that floats along in this endless sea. Insane. Anyway,
I've had enough flat earthers, believe it. I just talked to a flat earther earlier today. I don't know. You can't help those people. They're like the atheists, man. Everything you show them, any evidence for God, you know, any evidence of a flat earth, they just don't want to hear it. Or any evidence of a spherical earth, they don't want to hear about it. They just ignore it and they deny it, you know. I'm like, well, what about, you know, when we send rockets up with cameras on them? Well, those are fisheye lenses. What about, you know, footage from inside of a commercial airliner that's flying at 50,000 feet and you can actually see a bit of the curvature of the earth? Well, I'm not going to watch that. You should watch the 200. You should, you know, he's like, you should go look up the 200 proofs the earth is flat. I'm like, I probably should. I'm going to go look that up because I'd like to go. But yeah, let's play on. We'll get this. We'll get through this thing.
Well, okay, I will. But with these, some of the flat earthers, there's all different theories. But one of them is that there's pillars, that the earth is set on pillars. Well, there's pillars underneath. There's giant rock pillars underneath the surface of the earth where man lives, right? Inside the earth. And so we could say that. But these pillars, let's think about this. Some of them show a picture of a flat Earth sitting on pillars that's sitting on something else. Well, what's holding the pillars up? And then whatever's holding the pillars up, what's holding that up? And so on and so on and so on. You get into infinite regress. You know,
Sure.
None of their theories help them. They think it makes it more simple and easier to believe in God and all this sort of stuff. It does not. It is just as stupid.
It betrays the Bible.
Stupid, it's complicated.
They betray the Bible and the understanding of the authors of the Bible, because the authors of the Bible actually talked about how the earth is hung on nothing, and there's no foundation then. Like, the foundation's within the circle of the earth, or within the sphere of the earth. If they're, the foundation's within the earth, it's not set on anything. It's not riding on a turtle. It's we're far beyond that. We can fly a plane around the planet now. It's just like denying God to me, because there's so much evidence that God exists and that this universe is intentional. So
it's like,
they'll point to things like pain and all the bad things that happened, but it's like that doesn't disprove God.
No.
Yeah.
No, well, that's because of the fall. But anyway,
sure.
the earth is spinning, and they say the earth is spinning, then the atmosphere, the earth should heat up because the atmosphere, blah, blah, blah. Well, the atmosphere moves with the earth because space is virtually frictionless and there's no friction. And so the atmosphere moves with the earth as it's turning. And also when you're driving along in a car at 200 kilometers an hour and you got the windows down, well, if you throw a ball up and down, if you're sitting in the middle seat, the ball's going to keep going up and down in the car, even though it's traveling at 200 kilometers. It's not going to rush back at 200 kilometers an hour, is it? So they don't think, these people. They just don't think. Anyway.
Observed.
Sorry, did you want to say something else?
Oh, no, we're all set. Play on.
Okay.
Observed, measured, or proved. And the universe generator itself would require an enormous amount of fine-tuning. Furthermore, small patches of order are far more probable than big ones. So the most probable observable universe would be a small one, inhabited by a single, simple observer. But what we actually observe is the very thing that we should least expect: a vast, spectacularly complex, highly ordered universe, inhabited by billions of other observers. So even if the multiverse existed, which is a moot point, it wouldn't do anything to explain the fine-tuning. Given the implausibility of physical necessity or chance, the best explanation for why the universe is fine-tuned for life may very well be it was designed that way. A common-sense interpretation of the facts suggests that a super-intellect monkeyed with physics, and that there are no blind forces worth speaking about in nature. The numbers one calculates from the facts seem to me so overwhelming as to put this conclusion almost beyond question. There is,
Fred Hoyle was a staunch evolutionist.
For me, powerful evidence that there is something going on behind it all. It seems as though somebody has fine-tuned nature's numbers to make the universe. The impression of design is overwhelming. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge.
Yeah, they do good work over there at Reasonable Faith. They got some good arguments, good videos as well, all put together.
In the description. Okay.
Oh yeah, I threw it in the chat there. So
let me have a look here and see what I was going to share next. Oh, the doc. Okay, we'll put the link. You can put the link in the. I'll put it in. Hang on. Fine tuning Tiktaalik. Here we go. Super asteroid. It's got fine tuning thing in there as well. So the link. Quick, come on. There it is. Copy. I don't know if it goes up in both. Just tell me if it goes up in yours as well.
Sure.
All right.
I think we're good to go.
I'm lying in a weird position, so I can't type. Probably. All right. Oh, I'm trying to post something. There it is. Okay. Did that go up in both? Hang on.
Oh yeah, it's in
I
the
don't know.
chat.
But is it in my chat as well? That's what I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Oh,
No
yeah.
one ever goes onto my channel, so what's it matter?
It's there.
Doesn't matter.
It's there.
Okay. Maybe I should go into Rumble. Not that anybody will be watching there, but I'll put the link up in Rumble.
There you go.
So if you
Yeah,
want
get
to
someone
start
from
with
Rumble
something,
in there.
that's while I do this. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody on Rumble.
Hopefully, they don't want to talk
we'll
about
see.
the flat Earth they believe in. That's all I hope. If they do come,
Yeah,
that was our
I'm
first
getting
visitor.
sick of it.
in a flat
That's
Earth.
Yeah, that's all they ever go on about. They can't ever just talk about God or Jesus or the Bible. The moment you mention anything to do with the earth, it's just straight away that their whole focus is on that and nothing else. It's demonic as far as I'm concerned. It's evil, sick, and demonic. Anyway.
Yeah, it's pushing a lie. I mean, it's an obvious lie. Like you can fly around the planet if you have a plane. Where's the edge of the earth? You know, I don't know. Maybe back when we had ships before they circumnavigated the globe. Maybe then you could have believed it, but now you'd have to be ignorant of, information ever taking a plane ride. I don't know. Like you can fly from California
No, that's right.
to Hawaii
I've got
to
nothing
China.
but never-ending trouble with Rumble.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry.
So what are these asteroids about, man?
Never-ending trouble with Rumble. It's anyway.
I know that they blame asteroids for pretty much everything. The evolutionists,
Well, they're their rescue device. The asteroids are their rescue device. It's like, hang on, just let me get. You know what? Docs used to have a little tab that you'd click on and it'd slowly put the docs page up, but they must have worked out if we get rid of that little tab for them to click on to slowly move it up, it'll make their lives more miserable. It's like, honestly, what do they do? Do they sit down with Satan and say, oh, come on, if we do this will drive people insane? I mean, this just goes on about all the planets and the problems with the accretion theory, but we'll just get past that with the solar accretion theory. That's just too much.
Hey, welcome to the open mic there, Darth, man. Good to see you.
It's me. Am I coming through?
Hey,
oh yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Okay, let me get
Good to see you again, buddy. So we're getting into the asteroids, the magic asteroids, right? Is that what this is about?
No,
bring
the fine
squid.
tuning. We'll stick with fine tuning. Here we go. The probability of all the fine tuned factors to be in place for liquid water, rocky planet like Earth to be able to support complex life is about one chance in 1,000 trillion plus, etc.
But here's the thing: atheists, evolutionists don't really care about statistical arguments or probabilistic arguments. So they say, "Well, we're here, so there must have happened that way."
Yeah.
So there's no point in arguing probabilistic arguments until they accept the probabilistic arguments can be defeaters.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Because even if but I explain it like I try to explain the amount of like what numbers are like what is it? A billion seconds is 11 days. 1 trillion seconds is 32,000 years, sort of thing. It's like it's when you get up into numbers like at 10 to the 50th is the maximum law of probability. Anything 10 to the 50th and above is considered impossible. One chance in 10 to the 50th is the maximum law of probability. Anything above that, you've got it's considered impossible. So when you get to one chance in 10 to the 40,000th, which is what I think it was Fred Hoyle that worked that out, for the probability of a universe coming into existence with all the fine-tuning factors and life forming and blah, 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 and the planets forming and the suns and stars. And he did the math on that, and he found 1 chance in 10 to the 40,000. That's 10 with 40,000 zeros after it.
Yeah.
So,
but I think we shouldn't be asking, well, what's the probability of so whatever, you know.
I
we
agree,
should,
man.
We should go like a C-sign said before. Well, why is there a universe to begin with rather than nothing?
Yeah.
And so, and the thing, how do we know realities are made? So it's a more fundamental question. How do, for example, in VR, how do we know that virtual reality is created? It's made by the mind of the computer. So how do we know all reality is created? Of course, the theists, we're going to say a mind, but the atheists can't say this. They really have no answer because they can't provide a natural explanation, because the laws of physics and all the matter is only something that comes about after the Big Bang. So they have to appeal to a supernatural or a non-natural explanation for the natural.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they also say that at the beginning of the inflation, that it inflated at 10 with 58 zeros after it. That's 10 octillion kilometers per second. So the two-way light speed of today is 3 to the 6th. 3 with 6 zeros after it. So, I like kilometers per second, 300,000 kilometers per second. So
look, they can slap whatever fancy number they want to on it. That's not the main problem. The main problem is why was there this Big Bang rather than no Big Bang?
Yeah.
So we don't have to grant them that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't grant them that. I just say how ridiculous it is. It's absolutely stupid beyond belief to think
but that's
that.
The thing. We shouldn't engage them in the specifics of a number, because then it's kind of platforming. It's kind of like, oh, maybe there's some sort of legitimacy behind this by entertaining the numbers. Don't entertain.
Oh yeah, no. I don't give them legitimacy. I just say how ridiculous it is. I show the numbers because, I mean, you look at it today. Light is the fastest thing in the universe, according to them, right? So then light only travels at 300,000 kilometers per second.
Actually, no.
They were saying at the beginning of the Big Bang, their imagination fantasy, right, at the beginning of the Big Bang says that it traveled 1 with 58 zeros after it, not 3 with 6 zeros after it, 1 with 58 zeros.
Yeah, they say
that is just ridiculous and impossible, and that's what I say. I don't grant them anything. It's I just say it to show them how stupid.
Here's how they're gonna turn this on you. They're gonna say, well, the space can do whatever it wants to, right? Because that's what they'll say. It is ridiculous, but they'll say space-time is fundamental. You're gonna have to agree to that. And then they'll say, well, it can do whatever it wants to, including going past the speed of light. And so they basically will take a pseudo win there.
Yeah.
So don't engage it.
I just say to them, right, if you want to believe that, I mean, it's just complete fantasy. There's no way to ever test it. You can't jump in a time machine. You can't go back and observe it. It's just it cannot be proved for all time into infinity. It's impossible to prove. So that means it's basically pseudoscience. It's complete lie.
It is pseudoscience, but
it's the same as God. We can't prove God. They can't prove the Big Bang.
Well, we can prove God.
Yeah,
it's kind of revelatory. That's where you can prove it. But when, like, for example, if you were to ask them to explain, well, actually define what is space-time, they're not going to be able to tell you that. They'll just say, well, it's it's just a field, and a field is just something mathematicians use to plot points, on this abstract graph we're coming up with. But it's not. There's not a freaking grid out there in outer space that actually exists. It's just an abstract conception.
Yeah. Well, there is some sort of fabric to space, because let's put it this way. if
There's
you were in a
mm,
spaceship in space, right, and you started your rocket engines up and it was truly frictionless and there was zero friction, then the energy coming out the back of that engine trying to thrust you forward would have nothing to push off. So it would literally just sit there. So there has to be some sort. Well, how else? When you fire a rocket engine in space, you move. How?
If,
If it's completely
well,
frictionless and there's nothing there, then what are the
because
flames pushed against?
it pushes on itself, so it's like a black hand. It's like recoil.
Yeah, no, but those flames, that force coming out the back has to push against something to force it forward. Like there has
No,
to be
so
something. If it was literally just completely frictionless, it's not completely frictionless.
no, what's
There's
happening? Because
yeah.
look, what's happening is the same thing as a bullet, right? There's an explosion that happens in
No.
the back of the rocket. This
No.
explosion is what propels it. So that as
Oh,
long as
yeah.
you have this recoil effect, this is what
Yeah.
propels the rockets.
But a bullet has when it explodes, it's fixed in a position and it pushes against something, like something the pressure pushes back and then forces it forward. When you're in space, if it was truly frictionless and there was truly nothing, when you fired that rocket engine, that power coming out the back, that force would have nothing to push against. It wouldn't accelerate forward. I don't believe it would. It has to be able to push against something. So there's definitely particles or a fabric to space. It's just not what they say it is.
Look, what's getting pushed is the rocket. So there's an explosion happening behind the rocket. And
Yeah,
so
but force has to push against something to push it forward, to propel it forward. There has to be some sort of if it's completely frictionless, then that force coming out the back would not be able to push. I mean, I suppose it could create particles where it could push against itself, come to think of it.
no, it's basically pushing against itself. Let's say you and
it
I,
is. Yeah, I just worked that out. Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's plausible as well.
Yeah, because it would be like us jumping out of a plane and we hold our hands and then we just push against each other and then we split.
You're right about that. I was wrong about that because, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what would happen. Anyway, I'd have to think about that. I'm going to have to look into that.
Anyways, yeah, because we're engaged in them on a level that already platforms them and grants them some things. Like, well, no, don't engage them on that level because it'll just evolve into a bunch of sophistry. It'll just throw random numbers at the board that really don't mean anything. They don't.
Yeah.
They're just descriptions, but descriptions are not explanations.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That's I basically put it up there, that sort of thing, to show them that's how ridiculous it is.
It is ridiculous.
They just believe in these complete fantasy numbers. But anyway, you're right. I am going to add that in what you said. You're right about that. What did you say? How is time and matter created? What makes up time and matter? What's it made of? Basically, yeah, that's a good one. Ask them. I'll have to look into that.
And I would just like to poke at the Big Bang Theory a little bit more because he went into the expansion of the universe in the initial part of the Big Bang, that part of the model, where the contents of the universe expand infinitely faster than the speed of light, or much faster than the speed of light.
Yeah,
that's impressive at first, but you have that. That's called I believe it's called the inflationary epoch.
Well, here's the thing. What light is? Light is you have to first know what light is. Light is not traveling. I know they call it speed of light as if it were traveling. It's not. It's more of an induction. In the same way, let's say you take a long cloth, and one holds it. Let's say you're in a gym. You and I are in a gym, and I have the end of a rope, and you have the other end of the rope, and then I whip that rope. And that is what's really happening. Light is a perturbation of quote unquote space time, or quote unquote space.
Okay, so it basically lights everywhere and it's traveling through itself like a beam, sort of, that's already been there. Like,
because energy is pure light; it has no mass.
Yeah.
So then you got to answer the question, well, what is what is energy, what is light? And it's just the perturbations of the field. Of course, they're not going to define the field because they can't, and I mean I could define it, but that's besides the point. In that's I'm trying to make the point, like it's not a particle that's shooting when I turn on my light. It's not a particle that's shooting from my light bulb to the camera, and then I have to empty out the little photons in my camera because my camera is taking too much light. It's a wave. It's a wave of the field, and in the same way, me speaking isn't like little particles of sound photons shooting from my mouth to your ear. It's a perturbation
Waves.
of the atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'll
this
have
is
to look into that more.
Yeah, so this is why they say space-time can be faster than light, because light is the perturbation of space-time.
Well, they're basically okay. So that rules out the light travel time problem, because if light is everywhere all at once and it's just basically like the beams were created, in situ or whatever. If they say that, then that would sort of contradict themselves, wouldn't it?
It's not really contradictory. It's dishonest, I would say, because they fed the masses like, nothing's faster than light, right? That's what they keep telling the masses. Nothing's faster than light.
Yeah.
But then they'll say, well, it's at space time because it expanded, rapidly. Well,
in the inflationary epoch, yeah.
Yeah.
In the Big Bang, they believe that it expanded infinitely faster than the speed of light. That's crazy because it's anti-science. Well, it's non-science is what it is. Like you just said.
Yeah, and then like
but they're arguing against their own light travel time problems, really, if they're saying that, because they're basically backing up creation in a way.
Well, they're backpedaling. They're backpedaling that a light was a particle. So I'm not sure you ever heard of the dual slit experiment.
No. Oh yes,
I've heard of
have,
that.
but I
It's
can't
a
remember
wave and a particle, like a particle wave.
No, they
Yeah,
split
maybe
the
I'm
light up.
correct.
They split
you're
the
right.
light up into different beams.
You're right. See, they call it a wave and a particle. So now light has two dualities. It's incoherent.
Dogs.
So
That is funny that you mentioned that, because I thought that when I was looking at it. I'm like, that doesn't. So the particles are like running on this wave through the universe, riding the wave, right?
Yeah, but
Darth, if you want to share something, you can share it out, and I'll share it up on the screen.
I haven't made a presentation on this in a while, but okay. So basically, they're starting with a presupposition. It's both a wave and a particle, but it's not a particle. It's simply a wave, and the way that gets this interference pattern is by having the quote unquote observer. I know you guys heard of that, right? The observer causes the interference, which is why you get the pattern. Maybe if you
take your time, man.
Yeah, maybe if you can get like a picture of the interference pattern. Can you Google that there, Jason? Bring up a picture.
Yeah, hang on. I'll get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of that one.
So it'd be light interference due to observers, right?
Light interference pattern.
Here's the sneaky part. These sons of bitches didn't tell the populace what the hell the observer was. They think you simply looking at the experiment is the observer. That's what the mass population thinks. That's not the observer. But observer, it'll make much more sense once you actually see how they carry out the experiment. So basically, they have one wall at one end, and they have a slit or a needle between the lights and the wall. And so the light from the flashlights first hits the slit or needle, and then the wall, and then you get the interference pattern. So when people think like the observer, they're thinking of somebody observing the experiment happening. No, the observer is that needle in the pathway. So this is akin to me saying, you see, actually, cars are actually waves and particles, and then I go stand. And then I put a giant metal pole in the middle of the highway, and then the cars hit that pole. and then like there's somebody observing this happening. You see that person watching that experiment going on cause the car to become both a wave and a particle.
I like that comparative analogy. That's nice.
Okay.
It's very
So we've got this
paints a
one.
picture.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
So,
what
yeah.
happened?
So this is that experiment with the needle, then, or the
Yeah,
interference.
What happened there?
slits. You can do it with both a slit or a needle.
Yeah.
You get the same interference pattern. But this is what happens in water, and it happens in water because the interference on water are just
How'd that
waves
happen?
interfering with one another.
I'm going to start this again. Pain in the neck.
But these guys are starting with the presupposition that there's a photon,
Sorry.
which would be a particle.
Wait a minute. It won't let me turn the sound off. Sorry, there was something going on. It's been playing up. It's driving me nuts. Sorry.
Well, I do
apologize
see
for
the
cutting
photo
off.
of the
Go on.
experiment there.
Yeah.
It reminds me
So-
of the one where they shoot the particles through the piece of gold, the gold sheet, and they get splayed out on the other side, like a shotgun effect. Showing the
Yeah.
particles, or
Yeah.
something like that. I forgot the experiment went.
Now, we can use that image on the right. So basically,
Here
the
we-
green lines would be the light, which they assume to be a particle. So it will be one unit,
Let's see if we can get this up here. Hang on. Oh, that image. Is that
Yeah,
one you
we can
wanted?
use that. Yeah, we can use that one. So basically,
I
think we lost the image.
Sorry.
What happened?
No, you're right.
Huh? Oh no, we
You're
lost
right,
the
I can
image.
hear Did we?
It turned to
Oh,
text.
okay. Is the image not there?
No, I'm seeing
Can't
like
you see it?
text.
I can see it.
Oh, you can see it. I'm
Can
seeing
anybody
text on
else?
my. Just
Ah,
go to
I don't think I'll
images.
see it.
Oh, okay. All right. It's gone.
Yeah.
All right. I
Let's just
see.
do
I
like-
see what
Is it down
happened. I see
below?
what's happened.
Scroll down a little bit. I think I see it below there.
Oh, wait a
maybe.
minute. I know what's happened. I know what I've done here. I know what happened here. Sorry. I apologize. I'm just getting used to this. Let me go share it out again. It's something else. Because every time you click on it, it goes into a new. I'm going to fix that problem. All right. Double
It's all good.
there.
That's what we're here for.
Here it is. There it is.
Another thing I wanted to say before we move on about the
That's
Big Bang, they also have, like
No.
we talked about the inflationary epoch, but they also have,
Yeah.
the Planck epoch, or the supposed period before the Big Bang where there was no time, even though it's called a Planck epoch, which means a period of time, because epoch means period. Anyway, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's unbelievable parts of their model, and the inflationary epoch is just one where they say things move faster than the speed of light, which science says is impossible. I don't know.
Well,
Principles of science.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
there's your double
they're-
slit thing up
They
there if you want
continue
to talk
to
about it.
abandon. They continue to abandon principles of science, such as like energy just can't be created, and they get all their energy absolutely free from the Big Bang and the gaps.
Oh
you know.
yeah.
They get
They
this.
won't
They get
answer
the stars spread out throughout the universe, and all the contents of the universe is already spread out because of their inflation epoch of the gaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then before that, there's this time period where there just is no time, so we don't have to think about what existed before the Big Bang. So
I find it weird that they think of time as an actual dimension or an actual substance. It's weird. Anyways,
that is
so
weird.
You want to explain that double slit experiment for me?
yeah, sure.
Again?
Okay,
you go.
so the electron would be the source of the light, the thing emitting the light, and the electrons, it's image of a particle in a wave, and then that middle thing, that's the observer. So when they talk about this experiment, they're not talking about somebody watching the experiment. They're talking about that middle thing is the observer, and then at at the wall, all the way at the right is where you'll get the interference pattern. But the only reason you get that freaking interference pattern is because you put something in between. The
So
path.
they're calling it an observer, but it's just any obstruction.
Yeah, any obstruction which causes interference pattern because light is a wave. It is again the perturbation of the field. In the same.
They work in a field of research where they can just make up terms or use old terms and redefine them. And I just
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect for evolution.
Yeah, because you'll get the same interference pattern if you put something. You make a wave in water. You put something in the path of the wave, you'll get an interference pattern, and they're calling that thing you put in front of the path of the wave the observer. But this is not something they'll tell the people until you actually get in there.
Yeah, it's pretty silly.
All right. So, what was the other topics you guys had lined up?
I just
well,
had
you
that,
see
that
these.
point. Huh?
I just want to say something about that. There's electrons. Is that a particle wave there too, with that arrow that's wavy and little particles going through it?
Yeah. So they have
coming from an electron beam.
Yeah, they have an incoherent understanding of what light is, because they think light is a particle, but in actuality, it's just a wave. But light must be a particle to them because it's.
So what this really should say, instead of electron beam gun, it should say light flashlight.
Yeah, it's just a flashlight.
That's wonderful.
Or just a laser. It's
laser beam. Yeah, it'd be a laser beam.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, the light coming off a flashlight and a laser, the only difference there is qualitative. There's not a quantity difference. One is concentrated, the other is not. It's like a, frequency there.
Sure. Yeah, the lasers, they are light that is directed, right, through a ruby, right, or something.
Yeah, because it gives them that different frequency compared to your average day light bulb.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about some fossils too. We're going to look up the Tiktaalik R composite and discuss that a little bit. I know that you're probably aware of the Tiktaalik claim.
Yeah, but I don't really debate fossils because they can just come up with any story. Let's say we did find like a rabbit in the Cambrian. They just come up with a fairy tale to explain it away. Because I mean, there's beavers along with dinosaurs. It's basically essentially the same thing.
Well, they can't intrusionally bury fossil footprints, and they can't fossil footprints can't be eroded away and then redeposited somewhere else. So fossil footprints are better evidence even than an out of place fossil, way better. So, and I've got docs on that, and I won't be getting into that right now, but I've got docs on that absolutely blow your mind. But I'm going to put up this Tiktaalik thing. I was just trying to look for flat-headed sharks. I'm trying to find something that matches but I forgot to add the photo into that doc, but I can do that while you guys are talking, I suppose.
I think I see what you're saying about footprints, Jason, because you can find them in the layers, and then they're absolutely from that layer. Whereas if you find like a squirrel, like you said in the Cambrian, the fish in the marine fossils, even if you found one, they could say that was contamination, that it was buried thereafter, or fell down a crack in the earth. They'll be like, "Oh, it fell down a crack, and then it got filled in. Used to be a cave here, didn't you know?" And
yeah. It was a landslide, and that's why it's in the lower levels. It was, a landslide happened.
Hey, when you can make up any story.
Nah,
any story. Support their evolution theory.
Here we go. This is the best picture. That one.
Nice fish.
Now let's get the Tiktaalik. I want to get the Tiktaalik and put it in there. I'm going to get the Tiktaalik fossil and put it right next to that one, just quickly.
I believe that there are several Tiktaalik discoveries, but that they're not even partial like individuals. Like you've got a lot of fins and parts that they claim belong to Tiktaalik, and then you have the one Tiktaalik R, or the Tiktaalik rose composite, which is made up of multiple individual Tiktaalik remains to show an example of what would be one individual. So they already are they're already admitting that it's what it is a composite or a mix of different individuals claimed to be the same species and the same from the same population. So
Oh, look what I just found. Hang on, let me put this up on share this image out. Here we go. This is getting there. Oh man, this looks anyway.
They feel confident. They feel confident to make those Tiktaalik claims because you can't DNA test them, so you can't falsify their claim. So,
sure, good point.
And that's why they usually That's why I usually don't debate in anthropology because you can make up any story.
Oh yeah, and that's the
See
thing
that?
with the Lucy remains. It's like I tried to find, any evidence or any papers that they tried to even test the Lucy remains for DNA. Any of these hominid remains for DNA.
They won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. These missing links, the Australopithecine. It's like you're going to test these for DNA. They won't because they just say you won't be able to find any. It's far too old. So we won't look for it, right? You guys are not taking a critical look at these finds. So, you know what I mean? These researchers, these paleoanthropologists, they just don't want to know the truth. That's what I think. So
yeah, I mean, they're looking for like monkey bones and parts of monkey bones that can dress up to look human-like.
Oh no, wrong one. I want to get back to that other photo. Here we go. I'm just going to get a screenshot of this, and I'm going to put the Tiktaalik right up next to it in the doc so we can see it. Oh, okay, there it is. Get a screenshot of that. Hang on, I'll just get rid of. There, that'll do it.
we also have Missing Mod and Hardy Har and Honest the Angel in the chat. And I think Phoenix too still, but we'll see.
Missing Mod's here. She's everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me go get this in that dock. Next to that fish. Here we go.
If you guys have any questions about these fossils we'll be looking at, feel free to post a question in the chat.
Image. Hang on, I'll just be a sec. There it is. Oh, dang it. You can't. Oh, hang on. I'll have to change the size of that photo in the actual doc. And I want to add that other photo into the doc. Let's see. There it is. And I just want to add that other photo in.
And I do have a video of the Atlantic mud skipper. Am I coming through clear?
Yes, clear as.
All right. Yeah, I've got a video of the Atlantic mud skipper in the private chat. We could probably take a look at. I don't know if you've refreshed the private chat. I could go back and get it if it's not still there, but it would be above the post that says TED Talk about the inner fish.
Oh, okay. And
which is it's a joy to watch if you're a creationist to hear this evolutionist claim we're all actually fish on the inside.
It was fish and she returned to fish.
Return to your family, to the ocean.
We're technically cannibals because we never leave our fish clade.
Yep. The monophyly.
The low monophyly. It's so dumb. I like how they call it a law now.
Sure. Oh yeah. Biological laws are hilarious compared to physical and chemical laws. I don't know. It's like let's just make up this stuff.
Just slap law at the end of it, and now it's legitimate.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay,
Biology
so here we go.
Like the crazy cousin of what's that, man?
Look at that. Look, hang on, I got to get the Tiktaalik fossil bigger. Hang on. Oh, it won't let me do it. Edit. I have to go back into edit mode. Oh, pain in the neck. Okay, here we go. Editing. Because I got to get that picture bigger. Otherwise, you can't see it. Oh.
So this is a shark we're looking at.
No, it's
sand shark. Yeah, it's sand shark.
What the hell has it got two?
You should like bring up a picture of shark evolution, the shark evolutionary tree. Just rub it in the faces of these evolutionists.
Sharks were always sharks.
Oh no!
I don't see a difference.
Oh look, I'm just gonna have to hang on. Let me go add the Tiktaalik thing in from another source. This is ridiculous. Anyway, all right. Let me get rid of that one. That's gone. Tick. You guys keep talking. I'll turn the sound off. Sorry, so I'm not talking over you. There we go.
So we're I believe we're about to see this Tiktaalik conglomeration here. And as I said before, they've found what they claim are multiple individuals of what would be Tiktaalik, or what are claimed to be Tiktaalik. The only full Tiktaalik there is a Frankenstein of multiple individuals they think are Tiktaalik that they kind of put together in the same collection to make up one full individual. And this is known as the Tiktaalik Rosé or Tiktaalik R. Yeah. And from I believe they're from the Northern Atlantic. And that's why, for me, it makes sense to believe that the Tiktaalik would be a larger version of the Atlantic mud skipper that they later added back legs to. Because the early Tiktaalik representations, I guess the artistic renditions of what would be a Tiktaalik, didn't include back legs. And there's a reason for that. It's because when they first discovered the Tiktaalik, they didn't find its back legs. When the guy found it, there was like what would be the snout of the fish sticking out of the side of the hill, and that's how they discovered it. And it's true that they went there looking for fossils of fish that would have these interesting front anatomy and back anatomy now, because they added the back legs. But they look like fish arms, if you've ever seen Atlantic mud skipper, they still have this anatomy. And they basically went hunting where Atlantic mud skippers live for something that would look quite like an Atlantic mud skipper in a fossil form, So
yeah, I find the whole Tiktaalik argument kind of very weak, because it's like saying, because it also kind of leeches off of creationism in a way, because let's say God created the shark instead of, let's replace the shark with Tiktaalik and say God created the shark first in that era, the sand shark. So we find one shark over here. Well, we know God didn't just create one shark, and so we just go, move to a different era. Like we find a different type of shark. Well, then they'll just say, look, see, evidence. But you can also do this.
I mean, they have no evidence that those different sharks didn't exist since the beginning.
Yeah, but it's kind of more like how would I put it? It is kind of in a way leeching off creationism, because we know God didn't just create one shark. There's multiple sharks. So when he created Tiktaalik, we know he didn't just create one type of Tiktaalik. It's multiple, and so like to see one type of Tiktaalik and then another type of Tiktaalik lizard fish, whatever it is, in a different location. Well, it's kind of expected, because we see sharks over here in one area that are it's still a shark, but they're not the same shark in a different area across continents.
Sure. Yeah, we wouldn't expect them to be buried in the same fossil deposit, the same marine fossil deposits, because they're not in the same areas across the planet now. They're not dispersed equally across the planet. So you would find them in different fossil deposits believed to be different ages simply because of the fossils that they find in them, these index fossils.
See, science, look at your phone. I put up an image of the Tiktaalik fossil and a shark that looks
Sure.
look at the eyes on the back of the shark's head. What I'm going to try to do is find an animal with a bone similar to that in its head. And it might be, it might actually be, Tiktaalik might actually be some sort of amphibian, because you've got giant axolotls. Oh, actually, I wonder what a giant axolotl skull looks like. Giant axolotls have their eyes on top of the head exactly like that. I'm thinking it's just a giant axolotl.
That pink
That's probably all it is.
That
Hang
pink
on, I never
looking
thought of
thing?
that. I'm going to check that out. Yeah,
All
it's just Tiktaalik is just a giant axolotl. I am sure of it. I'm going to have a look at an axolotl skull and compare it to Tiktaalik's. And why do I think I'm going to find something that looks very similar to Tiktaalik?
Probably
Well,
different.
you guys go. I've got to get the dog out.
Well, I
mean,
gotta
if it
tell you,
is-
this shark, it looks a lot like that head on that shark. But
No, I just realized. Have you ever seen an
Or
axolotl?
pointy.
You know those things that walk around in your tank? They got legs and they breathe underwater. They got those big flary gills that come out the side of their head.
Yeah.
You ever seen an axolotl?
Yeah,
Mate,
they
an axolotl, look up axolotl and then look up axolotl skull and then compare it to Tiktaalik. And I'd almost guarantee it that the axolotl skull will be identical. But anyway, I've got to go. You guys can work that out. I'm going to quickly go and get my dog out as usual. Sorry.
I mean, if it is, a breed of axolotl, that'd be interesting.
that would be interesting. And I mean, I've seen pictures of them, those little pink newt looking animals. Or,
Yeah. Do you
So-
know? Do you know? Go ahead.
Go ahead, man. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, do you know the story of the axolotl, like the myth or the
I
truth?
don't think so. Yeah, fill me in. Yeah.
Supposedly, the axolotl comes from, like, I think, some sort of Aztec god that turned himself into the axolotl.
An Aztec guy?
Yeah,
Sure.
allegedly.
It has that sounding name where it would be Central, South
Quetzalcoatl.
American continent. Yeah.
Yeah, like Quetzalcoatl is like some
From the Popol
Aztec-
Vuh or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would be interesting if that's what it was. That'd be one big Quetzalcoatl or whatever it is.
Yeah, but we know everything was big. Like we know we've got animals that were much bigger in the past. Rabbits were giant, like 3 foot tall, and they've literally got rabbits that were 3 foot tall in fossil record and stuff like that. So we know things were bigger. So the fact, if it was just a giant axolotl, it wouldn't mean anything. But the fact is, it does look more similar to that shark.
I gotta say that shark is the eye placement alone, because they're on the top of the skull there.
Yep. And an axolotl doesn't have that. Anyway, I'm going to get my dogs out. I'm going to turn this, so I'm going to go.
Sure. And I mean, the arms weren't found attached to it, so it's possible. But what you have here is a situation where they went out looking for fish with that particular arm anatomy, where fish currently live with that particular arm anatomy.
It's not a giant. It's not a giant axolotl. It's because I just googled the axolotl skull. The axolotl skull has like way bigger eye sockets, like humongous, compared to it kind of takes up like the majority of the skull of the axolotl. This thing's got like tiny little bitty eyes.
Sure. I gotta say the shark is at least for the head of it, it looks pretty good. I don't know, it's the same heart looking shape, and then you have the eye placement. But not saying it is that shark, and not saying it's not Quetzalcoatl. But it could be
This looks like a giant lizard to me, because like we have flat lizards that exist.
sure.
It looks like one of those slimy lizards.
Yeah, I mean, if you have this the arm anatomy, this fin arm anatomy, supposedly here, if it was really found attached to the torso of the Tiktaalik R in the upper picture here, I'd be surprised. But even if it was, like, you know, there are fish with that kind of arm anatomy where they have the arm bones, you know, like the Atlantic mud skipper,
But
which
this thing,
I know. Yeah, go ahead.
but this thing, fish don't have ribs. This thing, it looks like it has, like, horizontal ribs. Because fish, all fish have like vertical, some sort of, vertical bone structure. This thing has more of a rib structure of a lizard.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we need to get a
Horizontal
better picture of this Tiktaalik R. Maybe even like a side view. Put a
Yeah,
few photos
like-
together quick.
Are they claiming this thing is the ancestor to fish or from fish?
They're saying that this is from fish. So
Okay.
this was fish to Tiktaalik to land animals. So this is their
So-
main transitional claim between fish and land animals.
So shouldn't the middle of the body section be more akin to a fish, which is like more vertical rather than wide?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah, 'cause, like, even a shark has like more of a vertical body.
They do.
But
Yeah, I mean, if it's a big lizard, that would be impressive too. I mean, the eye placement, for one thing, you'd have to find a flat lizard, like you're saying, the flat-headed lizards. So, should get that
Yeah.
eye placement. So,
yeah, most lizards are flattish because they have to lay low.
sure. Now, if they have gills on the torso of that Tiktaalik, that would be something that would,
Now that
know,
would be
prove
evidence.
that
Yeah.
would prove that it's like marine.
Aquatic, yeah, aquatic.
Semi-aquatic, yeah, at least. So now you've seen the Atlantic mud skippers, right?
Yeah, the things that have like little weird arms.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah, so like, yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. No, I think I'm finished.
All right. Yeah, I mean, they have the that type of arm anatomy where it's like an arm that's a fin, you know.
We should get like a picture of that up so people can see what we're
I
talking
know.
about. 'Cause,
Yeah, I posted a video, but I got to get it running here. I think maybe we'll watch it after, since we've been talking about them. But as far as me, like, that's my opinion, is that it might be a larger version of what would be an Atlantic mud skipper. So, I mean, it could be anything. It could be something that we don't have now. You know, it could be something that's gone extinct.
But I mean, even the mud skipper has more of a vertical body because like a fish does. It's more vertical than wide.
Sure.
It is vertical.
And then you have the, I mean, obviously it's a flatter kind of animal because you have the placement of the eyes on the top of the head. But there's also, it could be said that it was flattened by the fossilization process and just having, being flattened by the land that covered it. So,
Well, I think that
but
would have
unlikely.
cracked. Yeah, that would have cracked the skull, and we would have seen the seams of the crack.
Sure. Oh, and believe me, this skull is looking rough. So if we could get a close-up picture, you know what I should do is put a little gallery together while you guys are watching a video on something like the Atlantic mud skipper. And this is my real point, and something that might stick out to you if I tell you, is that they went looking for this hypothetical transitional, this what would be between a fish and land animals, where they know animals that exist today live that have that type of arm anatomy. That would be a fin arm. So they went up to where the Atlantic mud skippers lived and started digging around for fossils. And what do you know? They found fin arm anatomy, in the deposits around there. So to me, it's the right location, and it's the right eye placement. And the fact that the mud skipper, it doesn't have back legs. Okay. So the Atlantic mud skipper, it has back fins, I think, but it doesn't have that arm anatomy that's like an arm fin anatomy in the front, like
Hmm.
what you see. Yeah. So, and what's interesting is when they first found the Tiktaalik R and put it together, like up above, as you see, there's no back legs on this top picture. This is an earlier picture. Later on, they went back and found more fin legs from the same deposits that they made this conglomerate from, and they added those fin legs to the back end of this thing.
Fin legs.
They literally
at
made
a
it
later
up.
Fin
date.
legs. Let's have a look at these fin legs then.
They
Hang
so
on.
they
Yeah.
literally made up the back part. What the heck?
Yeah, after the fact, after the initial discovery. The top picture here is the initial discovery without the back legs. This is what the scientists first pulled out of the ground and brought home.
Fin, is it fin legs like those?
Like those, yeah. There's a
Oh,
lot
there
of
you
fish
go.
that have that. They have
It's
the
not a transitional at all.
it's
What
not.
type of mud skipper is that? I've seen that type of mud skipper.
I don't know. I'd have to do a reverse image
That's a
search.
special one.
I'll
That one
do a
almost
reverse
looks
image
like that
search.
lizard in the desert that shoots blood out of its eyes. I forgot what it's called.
I think the blood lizard. I think that's what they call it.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it kind of looks like that one. I mean, to me, I don't know. It looks like it has those weird eyes that just like go crazy.
Yeah, I bet you there's a mud skipper out there that looks similar to. Anyway, I'm trying to find the name of it in a second. I'm just going to do an image search right now.
I've got
I
a
mean-
BBC we could watch it, but we probably can't watch it. I mean, but we could like scroll through it and look at pictures of it to see the mud
Yeah,
skipper.
we can watch it as long as we're commenting on it. They can't get you
Okay.
for a. As long as we stop it regularly and comment on it, there's nothing they can do.
Well, I'll go grab it then. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I mean, I wish we could get like a better image of that Tiktaalik fossil because
I've been trying to get it into docs. It's funny, every time I'm live and I'm trying to do this stuff, I can never find what I want. And when I'm not live, it always shows up. It's as clear as crystal, good quality. It just drives me. It's every
yeah.
single time.
yeah, I definitely know that feeling. It happens to me too. I hate it.
As usual, reverse image search is absolutely useless. I mean, that is as clear as crystal, that picture of that fish, isn't it? It's not like it's not like it's the and it can't get it in the reverse image. Isn't that strange? I mean, I see atheists and leftists do reverse image searches when they're live, and it comes up perfectly every single time. And yet I do a reverse image search. There's not one fish that matches that one yet. That photo of that fish is all over Google, and yet they can't. Rubbish. They can't find it. Anyway, Google's a joke. Anyway, an absolute joke.
Google
I can't
Docs.
find the name of it. No.
Google Docs for me is not fun to use because like you'll write a whole article and they'll go through and edit stuff. And I think it's just the
Yeah.
admins for Google Docs.
Yeah. They just
Yeah,
go
they'll
in
change-
and just remove links. I've actually sat there and watched them when like come into my doc and start removing things while I'm there. They mustn't have known I was there. They must have missed the fact that I was there. I've sat there and literally watched them removing stuff. And of course, they're going to turn around and say, I must have been some hacker. Rubbish. This thing is not offline on my computer. It's on their servers. So if they say that, that means that their servers can get hacked regularly like that. That's rubbish. So they've been in there. They've gone in. They've taken links out of docs. That we had a doc that absolutely slaughtered the Lucy timeline. The hominid timeline. And they went in and they just took every link out. They changed things around. And we just can't find all that stuff again. It's like it's very hard. And the reason why they did that is because that doc is an absolute evolution killer with all the links and references and stuff. Now we've got the doc with all the stuff, but without any of the references. So now they can do it for you haven't got the references up there and delete the doc sort of thing. They're sick and evil and demented and twisted, and they I don't think they even know what they want. They obviously think that every time communism has been brought in around the world, it's just been an absolute disaster. But there's always people that will say, "Oh well, they got it wrong all those times, but maybe this time we do it our way, it'll work." No, it won't. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'll get off that rant now. I apologize.
Oh, worry.
Hey, that's what we're here for. I dropped that
Wow.
link in the chat, in the private chat there for you, Jason.
Oh, okay. All right.
We
Sorry.
can-
I'll get to
now.
You might want to just scroll through it and just to show pictures, because BBC, they're sticklers with their copyrights and they might give us a hit. I'm just saying. Like more than the creationist material that we've been viewing. So
Oh yeah, I can't stand the BBC. They're a bunch of course they will. As soon as if they ever found out that it was a creationist channel that was doing a review, they'd try to hit us with every copyright.
They'll deny it. They won't let us use it. Absolutely.
They're just
so yeah,
rabid,
just scroll through. We'll look at
evolutionists.
pictures because pictures are just as good, as far as that goes. And then we won't have to worry about the copyright. I'm pretty sure.
No, we should be allowed to comment on this, but okay, here's the mud skipper.
Okay.
And I literally could just do pictures from this, just like that. That's all we need. We don't need the thing. Which part of the picture do you want? Tell me. One where the mud skipper's out.
Do you see the link to the video in the chat, in the private chat?
Oh, wait a minute. I haven't shared it out. I apologize.
Okay.
I've got to go in and share it out. Hang on. Oh, yeah, I haven't shared it out. That's pretty silly.
Okay.
Can you see it?
In the private chat, I threw the there's a link to a YouTube video by BBC. So maybe you already found it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So here's your mud
and
skipper.
There's the eyes. Look at the eyes on that. Hang on, let me put it up to high quality because seeing we're not going to watch the video and we're just going to look at the images. I can look at it on full high quality. Yeah, 1080p. Woo.
And there's many varieties of mud skipper, as you see, like compared to that one that looks sort of like that blood lizard or whatever. And yeah,
I would say breed.
Sure, breed. There you go. I'm down for variety or kinds.
There it is. Dang it. I missed it. Sorry.
You're all right.
I
think you're good with just like a couple of seconds, but yeah. Just scroll through there.
Oh, isn't it funny? Now, there it is. There it is. Look at the eyes on top of that.
Yeah, it's definitely their eye location is good. So it's on top of the skull. They're not very far spaced, but when you see the holes on top of the skull, it's different than looking at the animal and when it's live. And they do have a flatter body.
So
and they would have ribs.
So the depiction of the Tiktaalik is wrong because the eye should be more like the mud skipper. Because like if you look at the artist depiction of the Tiktaalik, the eyes are like in flat. Opposed to these, are like more popping out.
In the artist renditions where they're trying to show a living Tiktaalik.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I mean they imagine the outside of the animal, but the eye placements, that's a big deal.
Hang on.
They have to be on top of the skull. So, and like I said before, even if this is some animal that actually doesn't exist anymore, it's one that's gone extinct, there's still no way to prove that this animal ever gave birth to animals that eventually became land animals. If there's still these mud skippers now, why wouldn't we expect mud skippers in the past? Even larger ones.
They'll say evolution has no end goal.
Yeah.
So it's like these mud skippers are definitely evolving to be the next apes.
Later on, they started climbing trees and look for your inner fish.
Are you saying it's impossible? Look at them climb out of the mud. They just need to get that banana.
So you see here, like right here, you got this fish. It's got the front legs. It's got that front leg anatomy, but the back is just there's no quadruped. There's no quadrupedal anatomy going on. It's just got the front fin. And that's what stuck out to me when I realized that the original Tiktaalik find didn't have the back legs, and that they went back almost a year later to go find the back legs, because you can't have a quadruped climbing onto land with just two front legs. When did it? Yeah, it didn't fit their narrative, so they went back and found, and that's why the back legs that you'll see on the Tiktaalik are now, like if you actually go and research the composite and look at a side view, you compare the front and back legs, they're about the same size, wouldn't you know it?
So they just used 2 lots of front legs. They got another lot of front fins and then just turn them around and put them on the back.
And it's
I
so
reckon that's what they've
obvious.
done.
It's so
Yeah.
obvious when you're looking at this fossil, because you can find decent pictures of the fossil.
Can you share the link out for that fossil that you're looking at? Is that possible?
Sure. I mean, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a gallery together of just
Yeah.
shots of what would be the Tiktaalik R, because it's what would be the most complete example, which is a Frankenstein, like I said, of multiple individuals that they claim are all Tiktaalik. But
Yeah.
And
maybe we'll talk about that next week.
And then
Yes.
they didn't disclose that to the public, didn't they?
Well, about the back legs.
Yeah, about the back legs.
Oh yeah, it's in all the original literature. If you study the original literature, you'll find for yourself. That's exactly how it went down. And it's not like they're hiding it, because as you saw in that photo, they've got photos of this thing when it was first discovered with no back legs. So like there's pictures later on with the back legs, and then they have to account for that. They're like, yeah, we went back to the same place we found it. We dug a little deeper and found the back legs. It's like, well, that's wonderful for your quadruped then, isn't it?
We just forgot to get them. I mean, it was
But yeah, we didn't find them when we first looked in the ground.
So it was like mile away, but they were there.
Oh, it's terrible gum. I mean, the ingenuineness. It's just like this field of research is so. It's so imaginary. It's just so made up. It's just they're connecting pieces of evidence that shouldn't even be connected. And it's because they don't have any evidence for their evolution theory. Like, this is their best. Everyone's like, oh, Tiktaalik or Archaeopteryx. Like, when you ask for a transitional, it's going to come back to Tiktaalik, Archaeopteryx, or the Pakicetus.
Yeah,
And
all things.
It's always the same.
Yeah, all things you cannot DNA test. That's the only transitionals. Things you can't DNA test.
The best evidence is the stuff you can't take a critical examination of. No one's allowed to look at these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at
that's
that
right.
arm, man.
Any independent people come in to assess it, nothing. That just proves that they're lying, and they know that if they let anyone come and see it, that they'd be blown out of the water or made look, their theory made look silly.
That's a good shot.
I mean, that's just
Stop
wrong.
right there. Stop right there. That's a good
hang
shot.
on, I forgot. I got to go back. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. We probably never get it again. But like you saw right
Wait a
there at the
minute.
side of this thing, and it's got no back legs. It's not a quadruped, obviously.
Got it. Oh, what?
Now let's say that they went to the Atlantic area where they find these mud skippers today, modernly, and they dug around, and wouldn't you know it, they found fossils of something that looks quite like a mud skipper with this front arm anatomy. They pull it out of the ground, they bring it home, they write a paper on it, review it, to release it to the public. Later on, they go back and find the back legs. Everybody's happy. I put a video in the chat. It's like it's a music video about Tiktaalik in the beginning of this chat. And in the music video, the Tiktaalik that they use doesn't even have its back legs. And that's the reason, is because at the time, the Tiktaalik had no back legs. So.
But I think now, forget it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the fish head. It's got those.
They didn't have
it will have those vertical.
What they often do. Well, yeah, what they often do is they put they'll find there'll be plenty of front legs out there, right? Heaps of them. So what they do is they just find front legs and then just say just put them on the back and just say this is its back legs. So there'd be probably millions of little fins and from walking fish like this out in the rocks. So that's what they do. That's how they literally do that. They just go and find anything that fits close to their narrative and then just chuck it together and say, this is what it was. And
then they build their narrative from there. Yeah.
I mean, I think somebody, if they weren't disingenuous, you could find another full Tiktaalik intact and actually from, that specimen, actually see whether it did or did not have these hind legs. Because right now, they're just making it up.
Yeah, they're making it up. They are.
Yeah, there should
absolutely.
be more Tiktaalik where they found that one, so they should go back and find at least more of a whole instead of just a single one that they put together from pieces parts. So,
Yeah.
but that's the case with all the hominids, you know? There'll be like one skeleton to represent the entire species, and then all the other individuals are teeth and pieces of jaw. So they'll tell you that there's multiple individuals of Tiktaalik that have been found. Well, where's the whole one? Tiktaalik R is the most complete, and this is far from complete, guys. And it's full of cracks. It's squished. It's terribly deformed by the fossilization process. That's the best kind of evidence for evolution.
Yeah. Yep. The tons and tons of mud that crushes down on top of it, deforming the skull is the best thing that ever happened for evolution.
And the last point I wanted to push about this too is that even if they find this animal, and even if they found a quadruped with this specific, fin arm anatomy, even if they found this species that they would say is transitional, there's no way to prove that group or that population of individuals eventually became land animals. So it's like they'll go out and find this claim transitional fossil and then build the narrative from there, claim that it became all these things that we can't even prove it became because we don't have the
intermediates. You don't have
sure,
the intermediate fossils.
Yeah, but then they'll just claim that we're just claiming transitional after transitional. We need to have the whole set. But it's also the fact that they make it up. It's like they really don't have those intermediates, sure. But it's like they're making up the whole journey from the shore to the land. And quadrupedism here too, because like I said, this Tiktaalik wasn't originally found with its back legs, which I think is a funny thing to remember about the Tiktaalik discovery. And a good thing to know if you're talking to the evolutionists, because they can check.
Oh, Duff is in the
Not
back.
that they ever do.
Oh, no, he's not. Oh, there he is. Oh, okay, sorry.
I wasn't
focusing. I was listening to you, and I was just looking at the. Anyway.
And this is a great video. I'll post the video in the chat for our people in the chat too, so they can check it out for themselves. They won't get a copyright.
No. Hang on, let's
so
have a look
here.
Who was the person who said that this Tiktaalik fossil was a transitional?
Huh?
I am not sure. We should look that up. I do not know.
Yeah,
it would be
just a giant.
What they're claiming is they made a prediction that they would find animals with anatomy between fish and land animals. And then they went to a place to find fossils of these hypothetical transitional forms in a place where we modernly find animals with that kind of anatomy. And that's the Atlantic mud skipper. But I mean, it could be a shark. It's definitely, if it has gills on the torso of the Tiktaalik, it's got to be in like marine or aquatic in some way, or we'd expect it to be.
Well, if it is, as you said, like the hind legs are not, they're just made up, which it seems to be. Then
it's found after the fact, yeah.
Yeah, then it's basically no different. A different type of mud skipper, or something like a mud skipper.
Sure. Yeah, and it's like, and I think I just want to reinforce, just because they found an animal with fish and leg anatomy like this mud skipper doesn't mean that that's the animal between land animals and fish, and that ever became anything but a mud skipper. So, or a mud skipper like animal. And that's really the point to drive home, because evolution is a fantasy. They have a bunch of animals that look just like modern animals do today. And then they draw lines between them and claim that they're related. So.
It's just all it was. It's just some sort of I mean, when you've got those sharks, those, like, look at the wobbegong fins. at the front, and look at different flat-headed bottom-dwelling sharks at fins, and at the front. I mean, like the fossilization process, those fins look pretty mangled up in the original fossil. They don't look like, so it's just could just be normal fins on a flat-headed shark. It just could be some form of flat-headed shark.
No,
They say those holes in the back there. Well, you know, are they really a part of the skull, or did they cut those holes in, or you know, you never know with these people. It could just be damage. It could just be there could be lots of animals today with holes like that in the back of their skulls. I'm going to get right into Tiktaalik, and I'm going to start looking at skulls.
We need better views, of the fossil composite, so we can know more about it.
because I mean,
We
it
can
has
see
the
the
same,
gills.
because it has the same eye placement. The Mudskipper, the Tiktaalik had the same eye placement, and you know they had the same structure with you know those walking fins in the front and no hind legs, and then this
The fish head. You got
the fish head.
it's got the fish head too. So
Oh, yeah.
That thing's eye placement is almost is virtually identical to Tiktaalik. Identical. And I mean, look at those
Sure.
fins. Look at those fins. Look at those fins on the front of this thing. I mean, if those fins were out, they'd be flat. See, and think that you round that, you get something that looks like that with a rounded nose at the front, and there's your Tiktaalik. And actually, we don't even know what the bone looks like inside that thing's head. I'm going to start looking at their skulls.
No, but
I'm going to make a gallery of this
shark,
for next week, bud.
Sorry, mate.
But the sand shark is it's made out of more like I don't, it's like for example, a fish has scales, but a shark doesn't. I don't know what they would call the skin of a shark.
Well, Tiktaalik doesn't have scales, as far as I know.
It doesn't.
So it's like they can't tell really.
I'm looking at the artist's rendition, and they put scales on them. At least some of them, because like I said,
We certainly can't tell from the pictures we have at night. But if they're saying in the artist's depiction that it has scales, then it probably does on the torso or on the head.
Well, they say it does, but I'm going to have to, like, why won't they show close up pictures showing these scales or anything like that? They leave so much information out because they don't want to get into too much detail, because if they put too much detail out there, people turn around and say, oh, well, that's not right, it's this and that, and it breaks their narrative down, and that's why they don't do it. It's
Sure.
just so,
and that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to get some great photos of the Tiktaalik. I'm going to get some great photos of that the conglomerate, the Tiktaalik R, the rose. So next week we'll be able to discuss this. We'll see if it's got gills that are visible. We'll see side shots, bottom shots, top shots.
I think it would be pointless because they're all common. All those artists' depictions are coming out from that single fossil, which is just a conglomeration. So I think it's kind of, it's a weak argument from the evolutionists to begin with, because it's not even fully formed.
Yeah, and they're claiming multiple individuals of this thing that they've discovered. If that were the case, there would be more than one photo of a conglomerate online. You wouldn't just see pictures of the Tiktaalik R.
Because the
other stuff they have is probably just fins and pieces of the trunk body of other.
Because I'm looking for like the fossil. It's the same fossil, and it's just a replication of the same fossil. It's not a different fossil.
That's the Tiktaalik R, the Tiktaalik rose. That conglomerate right there. They found the legs later on, man. Once you know that, it's like and then once you compare the legs yourself, you go look at the new conglomerate that has the back legs in it. It's like, why are because every animal has back appendages that are the same size as the front. That makes sense. They're like caterpillars, right? I don't know. You see what I'm saying, though, right? I mean, yeah. Most quadrupeds have different size appendages on the front and the back, especially in fish, where their bodies become slenderer as they go down the body.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. So
I mean, I would say almost like all animals, except the caterpillars.
Exactly. You
hind
get those
legs.
insects. It gets weird, but it gets weird with insects.
Like almost every animal is, maybe aside from insects, like the rear legs and the front legs don't match up. They're not the same.
Sure. Yeah, you know, God took an entire day for insects, I think. Those creepy crawlers. But we could watch the TED Talk. Have you seen the Inner Fish? The Inner Fish TED Talk?
The one's like, we are fish. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, they got that professor on there, and he's like, if my students leave my classroom believing that they are fish, I know that I've done my job right.
Oh my god.
It's unbelievable. I don't know. But that's also in the private chat here. We could take a look at that.
Oh my god.
If he didn't refresh, it would still be there, but I saved it for later too.
I think it's about time we start replacing Standing for Truth and Kent Hovind. Sure, they're good, but
Okay,
they're not moving the conversation forward.
There's the last link that you post. Oh yeah, I got it. I got the link. Yeah, sorry, mate.
What we should do is come up with a list of the best candidates for
mate.
still living Tiktaaliks, and then compare the remains of the Tiktaalik R that they have to these modern living forms. And if we find one that matches perfectly, it wouldn't blow my mind. You know?
I mean, what would be the point? It's like it's a dead animal. It's like trying to find, compare to an animal between like a dinosaur and like a chicken. They both stand on 2 feet, okay?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you can draw commonalities between anything, but they're like using these commonalities and then claiming a fantastic thing from it. They're like, oh, look, they all have arms, so they must all share a common ancestor.
Yeah, because they think evolution works as if like life was some sort of clay, which is they think evolution is just like remolding the clay. Like, no, these are specific programmed things.
Sure. And they use mutation, a destructive biological force, as their vehicle for these claimed changes.
If we evolve,
here we go.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, it's nonsense. This guy right here, he'll say it all. And I'm pretty sure we can watch this without catching a copyright because they're not BBC. They're more YouTube.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the more evolutionists they are, the worse they are at hitting with copyright. I mean, that's what I noticed. That they really and you know what amazes me is they always go on about Christians and how much money they make and they scam people for money. And yet they are so staunch on their copyrights. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars on that stuff. That like what's the name? National Geographic. And yet they turn around. They're just such hypocrites. That's all I can say. That'll solve it. All right, let's go. Let's listen to this.
Evolved from monkeys. Why are there still monkeys? Well, because we're not monkeys. We're fish. Now, knowing you're a fish and not a monkey is actually really important to understanding where we came from. I teach one of the largest evolutionary biology classes in the US. And when my students finally understand why I call them fish all the time, then I know I'm getting my job done. But I always have to start my classes by dispelling some hardwired myths. Because without really knowing it, many of us were taught evolution wrong. For instance, we're taught to say the theory of evolution. There are actually many theories, and just like the process itself, the ones that best fit the data are the ones that survive to this day. The one we know best is Darwinian natural selection. That's the process by which those organisms that best fit an environment survive and get to reproduce, while those that are less fit slowly die off. And that's it. Evolution is as simple as that. And it's a fact. Evolution is a fact as much as the theory of gravity. And you can prove it just as easily. Just need to look at your belly button that you share with other placental mammals, or your backbone that you share with other vertebrates, or your DNA that you share with all other life on Earth. Those traits didn't pop up in humans. They were passed
But the
down from
carbon share
different
with all
ancestors
life.
to all their
Oh my-
descendants, not just
You all right? You want to say something?
like all the carbon you share with all life forms. Clearly,
Yeah.
evidence, facts for evolution. Did you know?
Yeah.
Hey there, Jason. Did you know you have water in your body, the same as a monkey? How can you deny the
Yeah.
evidence for evolution, my man? It's right in front of you.
Yeah.
This is a fucking argument. Oh, we all have DNA. Hurt the dirt. No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah. It's pathetic. It really is.
Well, he's been to let this on this little fucking weasel.
Yeah. Well, hey, what's his kids might be listening, so watch out with the swearing because Sea Science kids might be listening.
Well,
but
well, again,
they
I mean,
might
he's
be.
using commonalities
Right.
between different animals, you know, and they're claiming these commonalities mean that we're related ancestrally, that there couldn't be any other reason.
But the commonality is
For these
so damn
commonalities.
broad. Look at the commonalities he mentioned. A spine,
We all have bones, we all have skin. It's like,
Yeah.
really, dude,
DNA. Yeah. This is akin to me saying, well, we all have
we all
water.
have immune systems. Sorry.
Explain the RV. Explain the ERV right now.
Couldn't be a common creator. That's beyond them.
Nah,
I don't know.
I can't believe
Do you have anything else to add, Jason?
Sorry.
They
Yep,
all
keep
take
going.
up space. Did you know that?
Oh.
just us. That's not really how we learn biology early on, is it? We learn plants and bacteria are primitive things, and fish give rise to amphibians, followed by reptiles and mammals, and then you get you, this perfectly evolved creature at the end of the line. But life doesn't evolve in a line, and it doesn't end with us. But we're always shown evolution portrayed something like this: a monkey and a chimpanzee, some extinct humans, all on a forward and steady march to becoming us. But they don't become us any more than we would become them. We're also not the goal of evolution. But why does it matter? Why do we need to understand evolution the right way? Well, misunderstanding evolution has led to many problems, but you can't ask that question, that age-old question, where are we from, without understanding evolution the right way. Misunderstanding it has led to many convoluted and corrupted views of
Understanding evolution and misunderstanding it, mate. It's theories, you idiot. It's nothing but a bunch of theories which are not facts, and most of those theories are propped up by hundreds of hypotheses. Because every time they get a theory, they get problems with it, so they come up with this imagination / hypotheses that settles the problem, as they say. And it's just basically evolution is just a theory that's propped up by thousands of hypotheses.
Thousands of precepts.
Presups, there you go. Presuppositions.
It's held up by imagination,
You'll
pure
educate me yet,
imagination. You heard him in
I
the
don't
beginning
mind- I
there.
don't
He
mind you
he
correcting
said,
me and educating me anyway. It's the best way to learn. I like it when people do that. I don't get upset about it. A lot of people get upset when they get corrected. I don't. You can correct me anytime you like. I couldn't care less. Anyway, all right, here we go. Let's go on with this thing.
all right.
how we should treat other life on Earth.
Oh, I might get upset about it if you correct me, but later on, if I realize I'm wrong, I'll come back and say you were right. Like with Sea Science saying about hominids, there's no evidence that hominids were any different from us because the skulls are all contorted and it's all, you know, and you know what? He's right. There is no real evidence that they were any different to us, and they've only got fragments of skulls and stuff like that. So, you know, anyway. Later on, when I think about things, if I don't agree with you straight away.
You
I'm
mean
wrong,
with the Neanderthal remains, right?
I've got no problem admitting I'm wrong, and in
Sure.
public, none at all. I think people that can't admit they're wrong have a severe flaw in their, you know. Anyway, let's get on with this.
Okay.
And how we should treat each other in terms of race and gender. So let's go back 4 billion years. This is the single-celled organism we all came from. At first, it gave rise to other single-celled life, but these are still evolving to this day. And some would say the archaea and bacteria that make up most of this group is the most successful on the planet. They're certainly going to be here well after us. About 3 billion years ago, multicellularity evolved. This includes your fungi and your plants and your animals. The first animals to develop a backbone were fishes. So technically, all vertebrates are fishes.
So the first animals developed a backbone were fishes. So they had compound eyes. So you got the Cambrian, went from single-celled creatures straight to creatures with all the phyla in nature that we see today. Compound eyes, stomachs, brains, backbones, arms, legs, you know, all of this sort of stuff, super complex stuff. I mean, compound eyes are super complex. And we went straight from bacteria. And then they say, well, there's a Precambrian. But then you got in China where you got the Precambrian on top of the Cambrian. So it's flipped. So the fact is we literally, and now they're starting to realize that the Cambrian was only a 10 million year long event, not a 70 million year long. I'm not, when I say starting to realize, they are changing their narrative, where they're saying that now the Cambrian was a 10 million. So you've got to get all of these animals evolve from single cell to jump straight from single cell to all the phyla we see in the animal kingdom today. And then evolve from there. And there's no evidence anywhere along the line. So, and people like me, when I was an evolutionist, used to walk around and say, well, I believe in evolution because it's scientific fact. I mean, what an absolute moron I was. An absolute moron. It's just a buffoon, the true definition of a buffoon I was. And that's what most people are walking around like today. In the back of their mind, they think it's all settled science. It's all, it's not.
Well, don't
And
feel
they say
too bad
ridiculous
because-
stuff like this guy. He
Well,
comes
don't
on, he's like, since the first vertebrae was a fish, we're all fish. That's like, since there were starfish first, we're all starfish. I don't know.
Well, Jason,
Sorry.
don't feel too bad. He's got a whole audience full of retards.
They all cheer on his nonsense, high five each other's ignorance. It's fun to watch.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned, like earlier, he said something about gender and race. That just goes to show you there's an agenda driven behind this model.
Sure, that stuck out, no doubt. Gender and race, it controls what you think about it, and it also goes into the scientific racism, sort of what he was talking about earlier. He's like, the wrong idea about evolution has led to some terrible stuff, and that's exactly what he was talking about. You know,
Well, they're trying to bury that. I think Watson, the guy who discovered the DNA, he was a race realist, but he was also an evolutionist. You know Watson?
Watson,
and, yeah, Watson and
Watson
Crick.
Crick? Oh no,
Yeah.
that was different. Sorry, that's his
No,
second name. Watson
Yeah, Watson and somebody Crick. I forget the other guy.
Crick,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, that just popped into my head. Watson and Crick. I don't even know who they are.
Yeah,
I've never heard of him.
he's the guy who discovered the DNA.
Ah,
Oh, that's right. Yes.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, so they don't want the people who discover, who make the big scientific discoveries to be these right-wing fascist racists. They want
Sure.
to all be left-wing goody two-shoes.
Mm-hmm. It fits their view.
Yeah,
They're
because
trying to push.
if the guy who discovers this is a right-wing bigot, then right-wing bigots are not as dumb as they seem to be.
Yeah.
Well, right wing people. Look, let's put it this way: Nathaniel Jensen, when he started, going to university, his dad said to him, "Mate, you're going to have to read twice as much as everyone else." And he said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, because you're going to have to read the evolutionary stuff to pass university, and you're going to have to read the creation stuff." So creationists, in a way, are way more educated, people like Nathaniel Jensen, than your average evolutionist with a similar PhD and intelligence level, because they've read both sides, like incomplete, and he studied it in university, so he knows both sides like the back of his hand. So he's got an advantage. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, knowing what the enemy is to know their weaknesses. So definitely, what you said there is absolutely true.
You can steel man those arguments. Yeah. Get 'em. You ready to go on with this thing?
Yeah.
Get over
All
there.
right.
I've just got to get into the. I think. Yep, that's it.
So technically, you and I are fish. So don't say I didn't warn you.
Oh, wait a minute! I just thought of something. I've got to turn this off HD in case it's stuffing up. Because anyway, I'll just put it way down.
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
need it on 240p. We don't need.
It was
high
looking pretty
FE.
good
It's
though,
silly.
but
It's probably
yeah, it'll definitely play clear then.
yeah, but we never know when it uploads to YouTube. It's always worse.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
starting to think they're targeting us. I wonder if that happens. I'm gonna have a look at the atheists and stuff like that in their videos and see if it happens to them. Why do I get?
It
the
looks
feeling
decent in the studio from our end. Like the video I've seen tonight, it hasn't been lagging at all, really. So
No, it hasn't. It's unusual. But I'm going to get a new computer soon, and I'm getting a new computer, another computer, and I'm going to get a what do you call it? A router with all the bells and whistles and security features and stuff like that. So, and it'll make it harder for hackers to get in and cause
there you
trouble.
go.
And
There
I
you
don't
go.
think it's always hackers anyway. I think it's big tech themselves getting in and causing trouble, like employees. Anyway, I'll get into it. Here we go.
One fish lineage came onto land and gave rise to, among other things, the mammals and reptiles. Some reptiles become birds. Some mammals become primates. Some primates become monkeys with tails, and others become the great apes, including a variety of human species. So
Don't you
see, we didn't
believe me,
evolve
guys?
from monkeys,
Just believe it.
but we do share a common ancestor with. All the while, life around us kept evolving. More bacteria, more fungi, lots of fish. If you couldn't tell, that yes, they're my favorite group. As life evolves, it also goes extinct. Most species just last for a few million years. So you see, most life on Earth that we see around us today are about the same age as our species. So it's hubris. It's self-centered to think, oh, plants and bacteria are primitive, and we've been here for an evolutionary minute,
go
so
back a
we're
little.
somehow special.
Go back a little to that, to the point they'll all supposedly die.
Hang on, I got to try and find it. Is that
Right.
it? Well, I don't know which one.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Notice how like they're
So
all
it's hubris.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, like, notice how like all the these ancestors died, like the dinosaurs, for example. Sure, let's go with that story, but then you have fish like the zeacolts that's still around.
Yeah, you're talking about the coelacanth.
Yeah, there you go, coelacanth.
Yeah,
Sure.
actually, I got a doc on the coelacanth.
We should look at the evolutionary tree for fish later on, just to rub it in the faces of these evolutions.
Oh yeah, I love the evolutionary tree going on about it, because there's like what the evolutionary tree is. There's thousands of evolutionary trees in the literature, but there's only a few main ones that they use. But there's literally thousands of them, and the few main ones that they use differ from each other. So evolutionary tree is just it's fairy tale imagination. There's nothing at all about it that's factual.
Well, I just want to demonstrate to the evolutionists that you have zero transitionals. Just like it's just lines.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to claim that he was pushing something. He's like, most of these animals that we see now are modern, and they were within this amount of time. When in reality, most of the fossils we find are living fossils. That means that they're fossils of animals that are still around now. So,
Yeah,
like
most
sharks.
Yeah. I mean, they're finding megalodon. I saw a guy in Florida in one of the, I think it was in Florida, and he was in one of the rivers, and he was diving down. He was going through the mud layer, and you could tell this mud layer had been there for a very long time. And but they, of course, they're going to say that this was just all mixed up later on. But you go into the layers anywhere, whether it be mud, rock, whatever. If you find shark teeth, and they won't, and I'm sure they bury this, but you're going to find a mako shark teeth in with megalodon, and like modern size, normal mako shark teeth mixed in with so-called megalodon teeth. I mean, there's just, anyway, there's so many lies. If you've got modern sharks swimming around with the megalodon and the megalodon supposedly, then they say it only lived hundreds of thousands of years ago, or 50,000 years ago, or millions of years ago. This story changes constantly.
Yes.
Anyway,
he's trying to stick to his narrative that we're all from basal forms that became what are modern creatures, but that's just not the case. When you look at the fossil record, when you look at the fossils that are found, what you see are a bunch of animals that still exist today and a few that are extinct. Most of these fossils that are discovered are marine fossils. That's why there's such an extensive collection of marine fossils, and why you can find virtually every single kind of marine animal in layers that are claimed to be tens, hundreds of millions of years old.
yeah.
Like these brittle stars in my avatar here. These orange brittle stars, there's fossils of these orange brittle stars that are claimed to be hundreds of millions
Avatar.
of years old. So these brittle stars have just always existed. According to the fossil record they have in their theory. But here you have him claiming that none of these basal things, not none of them, but most of the animals we live with modernly just evolved recently. This is not the case. Most of the animals we live with modernly have existed far longer than the humankind is said to have existed in their evolution theory. They think we're like the newest thing on the planet. Yet we're the most advanced technologically, like we're the only ones that made it to the moon. It's just, it's a ridiculous theory, and that's why we're ridiculing it. So,
Yep. Okay, let's get on with it. Oh, sorry. I don't think you finished. I think I cut you off, Darth.
No, I was finished.
Oh, you were finished? Okay. Sorry if I cut you off, man. If I ever cut you off,
cool.
just keep continuing on with what you said after we finish, even if we've got off the subject. Just ignore us.
holler out. Holler out.
Okay.
And if you want to stop the film, just say it too. Yeah.
It's so
Yeah. Well, just say stop it or whatever, or just start talking and I'll stop it.
centered to think, oh, plants and bacteria are primitive, and we've been here for an evolutionary minute, so we're somehow special. Think of life as being this book, an unfinished book for sure. We're just seeing the last few pages of each chapter. If you look out on the 8 million species that we share this planet with, think of them all being 4 billion years of evolution. They're all the product of that. Think of us all as young leaves on this ancient and gigantic tree of life, all of us connected by invisible branches, not just to each other, but to our extinct relatives and our evolutionary ancestors. As a biologist, I'm still trying to learn with others how everyone's related to each other, who's related to whom.
You can stop right there for a second.
Perhaps it's better still
I can't. It's
to think of us as a little fish.
it pauses for a while sometimes, and I can't stop it. There you go, mate.
Invisible branches. What the heck? What the heck is it? No, you're supposed to have something
I'm
in
glad
there.
you pointed that out. But anyway,
I like
I
that
missed it.
tree that he had that it was all working out from the center there. I haven't seen one like that recently. That was beautiful.
Yeah, just invisible transitionals. Just leave.
invisible transitionals. They're the ones they can't find yet, which is almost all of them. If evolution was true, we'd have billions of transitionals. Can you imagine all the animals that are on Earth today and were on Earth before they all went extinct?
Well,
Can you imagine the hundreds of billions of trillions of transitionals there should be everywhere? We should be tripping over them when we walk down the road.
No. They don't even have one. They have zero transitionals.
Yeah.
They say they do. They don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Well, they have their claimed ones like the Tiktaalik, but they're just as sparse as that one is.
Yeah, but that's an inference from evolution. It's not something that's actually can be DNA tested. So that
Right.
claim that it's a transitional, is a presupposition of evolution, and that's the
Mhm.
evidence for evolution, but that's circular.
And that's why theirs is conjecture. It's opinions built on biased opinions, built on a theory.
Yeah, because whenever I debate Grayson, I always tell him you have zero genetic evidence for evolution, and he knows this because effectively what I'm telling him is you have zero transitionals that you can actually DNA test, because he knows that he can't rebut that. He just stays silent after that.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Out of water. Yes, one that learned to walk and talk, but one that still has a lot of learning to do about who we are and where we came from. Thank you.
It's pretty sad.
Well, that's nice. I gotta tell you, I mean, that's like TED Talks. This is like the atheist evolutionist church, man.
It is.
That was a great. Oh, everybody clap because that's what we believe. So let's all clap about it.
I've got videos of evolutionists we've debated speaking at atheist churches. Like literally, we're at the atheist church today and we don't blah, blah, blah. And their mission statement, they give their mission statement before they start talking and that. And they literally call it an atheist church. So.
Well, people who watch TED Talk are people who want to think they're smart without actually being smart.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Well,
pretty
this guy's
sure I
as dumb
heard
as
someone
fuck.
scream out "Amen" at the end of that thing. It was so much like a church. I don't know. But hey,
I mean, have you seen the people that have like on TED Talk, like the conversation? It's really just shallow things that appeal to like liberals.
yeah,
They're just,
feeding into each other, high fiving each other's beliefs because they
Yeah.
happen to line up with what we're told to believe anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Your sound
What a
avatars.
system.
Well, I think he
sound
proved
avatars
evolution
lost
is true.
in sea science. I don't know why that happens, but anyway, pain in the neck of a thing.
I mean, how can you
Apologize.
deny?
Keep going.
Oh no way! I mean, how can you deny the evidence he presented? We all have water. Fish have water. They live in water. We're made out of 75% water. I think the evidence for evolution is quite overwhelming there.
Well,
He
there's a
really
lot more
believes
than
we're
that,
fish.
because
Really
if you burn a human body, almost everything burns away except to like a kilo or two or a few kilos of ash. I think we're like 90 something percent. I'll have a look.
No, I'm making fun of the argument he used. Like, he said, like,
Yeah.
when his-
No, I understand that. I was just
Beautiful.
Sorry. I'm having a go at you. I
With
apologize.
that drawing program or something. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean he's that's special. He makes sure that if his college students don't leave his class thinking they're fish, that he's failed. So
Let's
see.
bring up some images of the evolutionary tree for fishes, just to demonstrate these invisible branches.
yeah, all those little branches going off into nothing with nothing next to them. Sure.
There's nothing. If they put it, there's nothing in front of them, so they'll have the fishes that exist in one end because they exist, but they connect into nothing. They just connected into groups, like they have like a group like something in Sinai, or it's some Latin word, but these are just groups. They're not actual transitionals or anything that exists. It's just a category.
Now, is that him pushing the biological law of monophyly or whatever, saying that since we were fish, since all chordates are fish, or wait, since fish are the first vertebrates, then all chordates must be fish. It's
Yeah,
like
according to their law, we never stopped being what we were. So we're all still apes. The reason evolution is an atheist, asked the question, are we still apes? Well, that's based on the presupposition of evolution being true.
right.
we're not apes. And apes
I
is
agree.
just apes is just a category based on evolutionary theory. So these categories they came up with, they're literally just freaking pretend this is their lore.
They're dogma. It's assumed principles and just things that are assumed to be true, no matter what. They don't really question them. Holding up their religion. It's their religion, man.
Yeah, they're just telling me about their freaking D&D fantasy world.
Ooh, here's a nice photo. There's your
No,
fish evolution. Fish to fish to fish evolution.
The fish. Bring up the evolutionary trees on the let's go Google Images.
I found a nice one the other day. I'm going to try to add it to the...
Are those coelacanths? So the coelacanth evolved to a coelacanth.
Sure. They're like, these earlier coelacanths are way different than the new ones. Even though they have all the same exact anatomy, they're just different sizes.
Yeah, but this is like all stuff they can't DNA test. This is why they feel like they could just make this up.
Well, no, I've said it before, but what's funny about the coelacanth, I think it's coelacanth, I don't know exactly the pronunciation, but the coelacanth, I think they said that it was the transitional between fish and their Tiktaalik for the longest time, or that idea of that Tiktaalik transitional, you know, and they claimed this for the longest time, and they thought it was an extinct form, and then they go and fish one out of the Japanese Sea. So now it's a Lazarus fossil because they thought it was dead, but here it is modernly. But what's funny is they actually used it as one of their said transitionals and then later found out it still exists. I'm like, well, that's fine. You know, it found a place, they found a niche where they didn't have a different food source for hundreds of millions of years. Their food source didn't change. The temperature didn't change of the water. Just the environment just stayed absolutely the same. I just don't buy it. That equilibrium, the mutational equilibrium, is just, it's garbage. Because mutation happens because of reproduction.
Here, let me show the tree.
Sure.
What I'm talking about.
We can zoom in.
It doesn't let me click onto the image. Wait, give me a could like multiple windows open.
Ooh, I see a plus sign though.
Oh no, that's not me. That's
Oh, there you
Jason. No,
There you go.
Share my screen.
Let's see.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I had my microphone off. Do you want me to go up or down? Oh, you got it. You found. All right.
How's that?
Oh yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Try to-
Okay.
Trying to. It's all blurry. Here, this one has a lot of fish. Maybe it'll go. Did it go into it? Wait.
When
Oh,
you
wait.
find my, hey, send me the link. Send the link in the private chat, and I'll upload whatever photo you want. Darth.
Give
If
me
you
a
can-
second.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay, I think I found it. Yeah, I found it. God damn it. Looks like I got a bunch of tabs over here. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
So, see, that's the evolutionary tree. The ones, all the ones on the right, those are actual specimens that exist. But those little white circles, the names within the white circles, those are not specimens. Those are just groups to classify them. So they don't have transitionals. And we can go to like, there's a bunch, because of course,
And that would be what the professor referred to as the imagined branches.
Yeah, the invisible branches. So
The
there are no
invisible
transitions.
branches. Yes.
So like none of these fish have transitionals. None of them are related to anybody. They're all their own specific breed. And in those names on the left, those are not specimens. Those are just simply categories or clades, whatever they want to call it. But these are just clades or just groups. In the same way, well, all these fish have are long. They'll classify those fish with the long fish, and they'll have a word for that: longest fishness.
They'll say that they're more streamlined, right?
Yeah, something like that. But
Sure.
those are not transitionals. Those are just categories. But everything on the right, those are things that actually exist. And what's connecting them? These branches, these lines, those are just imagined, invisible branches that are nothing. That's just their fucking lore.
Yeah. All right, and hang on. And let me see. Let me see this. Hang on. That's weird. Oh, there it is. All right. Let's have a look and see if I can find. So what do you want to look at now?
I wish they had like a tree showing all the fish. Like you could sometimes find it, but they're behind a paywall. Like I try to get the one for the butterflies, but like sometimes they won't let you see like the high resolution picture unless you pay them. It's like why?
All right. Okay. Yeah,
So I'm trying to get
it.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get a good picture to show. Oh my God. I hate these things.
Sorry, I'm back. I had to take a break real quick. Sorry.
So yeah, you can go. You
It's
can
all right.
really go on. So you
Monarch.
can really.
Monarch butterfly.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Here, let me share. Let me share another one. I think this is a better picture. I think this one has a lot more fish. Is it sharing that?
Oh, okay. Hang
Jason?
on. I'll get over there and share it. Here we go.
All right. See how all the fish are on the outside? Yeah, there's no transitionals. And those little red dots and black dots, those are just categories, like superfetation or non-placental free, or placental free. That means they have placental bursts, I'm guessing, and non-placental bursts. Who the heck knows? Non-placentrophy, but it's a category. It's not an actual fish. But see how the actual fish are all on the outside. They have zero transitionals. And this is, I guess in the comparing a fish, because I don't see the clownfish up here.
What was
Maybe it's
that
up
thing
there.
you said before, and it jogged my memory? I've forgotten. At the beginning when you were talking, you said something, a name of, I can't remember. I've lost it. I was just about to search it, and then I forgot. It's not important.
And it looks like many of these are modern-looking fish
Well,
that are still found today.
well, they're all still alive. All these fish are still alive, and they actually DNA tested them and they plotted them, on Sequoia evolutionary tree. It turns out none of them are related, and that's why they're all in the outside. And so, how do you connect them? Well, with the invisible branches made up evolutionary tree.
Like lines on a connect the dot game. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's terrible. They have nothing for transitions, like you said. Ooh.
Yeah, it just made up lines. It got nothing.
I think we're getting a thunderstorm up here in New York pretty soon. Just heard a little bit of action out there.
Quite the thunder.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Oh, it's telling me that there's something wrong. It says your browser has blocked your screen. Click the screen icon in the address bar to allow access, then reload the page. That'd boot me from the stream. But you guys would still be going, so I'd get back into it, I suppose. It hasn't blocked anything. I can still see my avatar up there. You can still hear me. I don't know what they're talking about. Anyway.
So here's the back porch background. Pretty nice. I think it's a nice view. But I think over this week, I'm going to put together a gallery of just the Tiktaalik information. Some maybe search out the original literature that talks about when they went back and found those back legs of the Tiktaalik are. Just photos of the bottom, if I can find them. I'd like to see underneath. We might see a little something extra underneath of that fossil. So the inferior view, a side view, a top view, a front view. You know, put it all into a gallery so we can see it in decent detail right here on the show, and then maybe even get a list of animals. Like that shark, that sand shark you were talking about. That get a list of animals or possible candidates that it could be. They have that eye anatomy where it's on the top because not every animal has that. You know. How's that sound?
Look at that one.
Ooh.
Complicated.
The evolution of fish.
No, I think we can find stronger because, like, I think we can find stronger arguments against evolution because if we like engage them in what is like in a field where this is to them properly, you know, to them this is like the best arguments they have, things that can't be empirically tested or verified. So I don't think these are winning arguments.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
Yeah, they've got nothing but assumptions holding up their religion right now. They want to find these transitionals. They've been looking for them ever since Darwin. Darwin said that they would, if his theory was true, they would go out and find a number of transitional fossils, but they're still looking for them. They're looking for the anatomy that is, what's the name? I don't know. The parts of anatomy that are supposed to become useless because of mutation, but yet we find that all anatomy has function. You know, I mean, there is examples of decent anatomy that's falling away or becoming inactive, like the blind cavefish losing their sight. You know, we have plenty of examples of anatomy losing function, but no examples of the gaining of new function unless it's assumed. Like they'll point out a fish that has different kind of, say, suction pads on their feet. You know, they'll be like, oh, look, that must have evolved from a regular fish. And it's like, but do you only believe that because it's a fish? So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's really annoying, this thing.
Yeah, because like we really gotta get away from these categorical trees. Because like for example, the tree the sea science brought up earlier, that's just a category.
But look at all the trees in the literature.
Yeah.
Look at them all, and this is it's just insane. Look at them all.
Yeah, but the thing is, like most of them, for example, the one you brought up earlier, these are just categoricals. These are not empirical.
Sure.
Yeah. Of course they're not. None of them are empirical.
Like the tree I brought up, that's empirical because it actually uses real specimens.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and these are just like, you know, the apes, the cats, the big cats. That's all these trees are saying.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just categorical trees.
And then you got the tree of. Hang on, let me go back so I can read that. You got all these different trees, and then you got multiple. Oh, don't tell me they've just done this.
And there you have the tree of life, the actual tree.
These are the different. Yeah, the tree of life, the tree of life tattoo, the tree
there
of
you
life,
go.
jury, moody, meaning, Celtic painting. Oh no, that's not. I thought they were going to give different definitions for the tree of life, but they didn't. It's just a joke. Anyway.
This
Yeah.
phylogenetic tree here kind of looks like a swordfish jumping out of the water. I don't know. I like that one. Yeah,
Oh, I
cornucopia.
see it. Yeah, I see it now.
There you go. Hey, I like to watch clouds and stuff, you know. But so next week, I'm gonna try and get that gallery together. But if you guys got anything else, if not, I'm gonna call it quits.
Yeah, if you wanna go on, Darth, you can talk about whatever you want, and I'll share
No,
whatever you want out.
I
Whatever
don't
you
got
want, mate.
anything.
All right, guys. I'll see y'all next week. Have
All
a
right,
great
God
week.
bless you,
Stay
brother.
strong.
Thanks, Darth,
God
for
bless.
coming on. Appreciate
Later.
it. And God bless you, Sea Science, and God bless everyone. And sorry, Sea Science, you can finish off. I just wanted to say that. That's all. You finish it.
All right. See ya.